name's Natalie Sandon. I work here at Vicdeaf, and today I'm going to be having a little bit of an interview with the new Vicdeaf CEO that has started recently. And you may have heard, her name is Christine Mathieson, and I'd like to introduce her to you now. Hi Christine, and welcome to Vicdeaf.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
So you've only been here for a short time. I wanted to ask you, what are your first impressions of Vicdeaf so far, and how are you settling in?
Well, you're right, this is my second week, so I started last Monday, the 10th of September, and so far I've been really impressed with the staff that I've met with and just the way things are done at Vicdeaf. It's obviously very different for me because I've come from the public service after almost 18 years in state government, so it's a very different environment for me. But I met with Gary from the board yesterday, and I obviously met with Mac last week as part of my introduction, and I said to both of them my early impressions are very positive, and I personally feel really excited about being here and being in the role, but I feel also really excited about the things that we can do together to really take Vicdeaf to the next stages in raising its profile with the community, and I hope being a real leader in the community sector.
Great. Now, you mentioned that you worked for the public service for 18 years. What was your role there? What sort of things did your job entail?
Well, one of the great things about working for the public service for me was that I got lots and lots of opportunities. My background is actually in disability, so I've worked predominantly in the development of policy and programs and operational services for people with a disability in Victoria. My most recent role before coming here was as the Director of the Office for Disability. So we were responsible for policy development for people with a disability across Victoria. And I've just finished up running a public consultation process for the government in relation to the new state disability plan, which will be in place from January next year. Before that, I was in the North and West region of DHS, and in fact part of my role there was managing all the funding, which was about 180 million that goes out to community organisations, and one of them was actually Vicdeaf. So I had a good understanding of what Vicdeaf did in that context and a really good relationship with Graham, and I did want to take this opportunity to acknowledge the great work that Graham has done in the time that he's been CEO in really consolidating the foundations for a really good organisation, and also to thank Andrew Lyle for acting while we were in transition to me coming into the role.
So you've had 18 years in the public service, and now you're here. And sort of what led you to this career path? Did you study in this area?
That's a really good question. I've always, it doesn't surprise me or my close colleagues or friends and family that I've come back into the community sector, and particularly into an organisation for people with sensory impairment. My initial training was with people who are blind and vision impaired, and I worked at many years ago at RVIB, which used to be on St Kilda Road, just down from the Deaf College, and we often would have people get off the tram by mistake who were deaf and come into RVIB because the buildings look very similar, very old bluestone buildings on St Kilda Road. So I worked for RVIB. I also worked for Royal Guide Dogs, and I taught through La Trobe University students who were training to be orientation and mobility instructors, so they taught people who were blind or vision impaired. And as part of that, I got very involved in working with people who have Usher syndrome, and that's when I first learned a little bit of signing. So I did some tactile signing when I was working with people who were deaf-blind. And then I've done, you know, a variety of other things in the public service, but for the last couple of years I've been thinking that my next move would be back into the community sector. And I actually said to Graham about 5 years ago when he started, you know, one day I think this would be a great organisation to work for, and maybe that would be a good move for me. And it's funny, if you put things out there, sometimes they come true. So I think it's a really great next step for me in terms of my career, but more importantly, what we can do together at Vicdeaf.
Yeah, and that's true, you know, you plant that seed out there and then something grows. That's fantastic that that's happened. So I wanted to also ask you, what are some of the aims that you have for Vicdeaf? What would you like to see achieved during your time here?
Yeah, I think the first thing is to understand what we do and what we're trying to do. I've said to many people already that I've not been given any agenda by the board. I don't have any personal agenda to come in and make big changes. What I do want to do is meet with people, talk to people, the staff, but also to community members. I've made times to go and meet with people at their Here service sites in Box Hill and in Oakley. I went to Sensewide last week, and I've had some quick conversations with our case managers that work in the regional area, so I'm really keen to get out and understand what we do. I also want to talk to people that are not involved closely with Vicdeaf to see what their view of us is. How do they perceive Vicdeaf as an organisation? And I have an understanding of that coming from government, but I'm really keen to understand what do people think when they talk about Vicdeaf. And for me, I think it's about getting really strong presence in the community, because the stronger we are and the more we can lead as a community organisation, we lift the profile of people who are deaf or hard of hearing, and ultimately that's what we're on about, is better lifestyles and outcomes for people who are deaf and hard of hearing. So they would be my main things. It's about understanding our business, being clear about what we do, and having a really strong vision for where we want to go to that ultimately is around those better outcomes, but, you know, lifting our profile and reputation.
Great, sounds fantastic. Now, can I ask you a bit of a personal question? Let's put work aside just for a moment. What do you like to do outside of work? Do you have a footy team? Do you enjoy movies? What do you do sort of after hours?
I wish you didn't ask me about my football team, because already many of the staff have come up to me and said, I've heard you barrack for Collingwood. And unfortunately, I have to say, yes, I do barrack for Collingwood. And there's a couple of people that I've spoken to who also are Magpie supporters, but generally we're not well liked. But I do enjoy the football, and I was saying to a couple of people that I love Melbourne in winter during football time, because I'm a member, so I go to a lot of the games, and I tell people that it is almost a really restful place for me, which sounds a bit odd following the football, but I just like to sit there and watch the football, so I enjoy that. Although I do think the Swans and the Hawks will get into the grand final this year, which will please Graham, I'm sure. I really like to cook. I really enjoy cooking and having people over and cooking, going to the market and choosing what I'm going to prepare. So I really enjoy that. And the other thing that I like doing is I'm really interested in cars, and I like driving. I really enjoy driving. Whether there's an opportunity for me to drive somewhere and long distances, I really enjoy that. And touring around. I've actually just come back from a holiday in Italy and hired a car in Italy and had to drive on the other side of the road for the first time. So that was really interesting, but a nice challenge, and it was, once you get the hang of it, it's okay. And I did want to mention, actually, when I was in Italy, I saw quite a few deaf people who were tourists, maybe from the UK or America, and I saw some from Germany, but also Italians who were signing, and of course I didn't understand anything that they were saying, but I just noticed there was a lot of people that I was aware of while I was travelling around.
Yeah, and Europe is so small, you know. I think that you see a lot more deaf people, and Australia, we're such a vast country, it's so hard. And I just have to let you know something, I'm a Collingwood supporter too.
Oh, there you go. That's good to know.
Now, I'm sure you're aware that Vicdeaf, we're having a Christmas rally on Sunday the 2nd of December, so will we see you there?
Absolutely, yeah. I've heard a lot about the rally, and initially I asked the question, I misunderstood. I thought it was a rally where people all walked along a road and went somewhere to make a protest, but now I understand that it's an opportunity to come together each year at Christmas time, catch up with friends and just have a really relaxing, casual time. So I look forward to meeting many of our community as part of that.
And I'm sure the deaf community will be very excited to meet you on the day as well. So thank you so much for giving up your time for this interview today. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure, and it's a great opportunity, and as we've been talking, be good to do this every so often so that we can update the community on the things that we're doing at Vicdeaf. And you know, people, if they see this video and have any questions, they could maybe email them to me, and I can respond to those at the next time we do an interview. So I look forward to seeing how that plays out into the future.
Fantastic idea. Thank you so much. And thank you for watching.
Thank you.